Alrighty then. Great games in the morning. This is Jonathan Albin, and this is NycosRPG. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are going to be looking at a bunch of different topics. I'm going to be changing screens several different times tonight, but we're going to start tonight with the 10 most important tips that any game master should encounter when they are running games. And that doesn't matter what system, genre, mechanic, or whatever. These are just things that help out any storyteller. But in particular, I'm looking at you, dungeon masters. Whether you play a first edition, second edition, fifth edition, whatever the new mystical edition is going to be called, or whatever. The first thing we're going to be looking at is the primary objective of a role-playing game is to have fun. If the situation in the game scenario you're in is not fun, you're not enjoying yourself, it's time to do something different. It's time to pick out a different game, different genre, different players. Whatever it is that's causing a challenge with you having fun, you're missing the point of it. It is not about how much work you do. It's not about how much you've slaved. It isn't about how many hours you've put into the game. It's a matter of how much fun you've had. If you're not having fun, it's not you're not doing it right. The main thing is that players have to feel their agency. They have to feel like they are part of the story. And it's absolutely fundamental that the agency that they have, their ability to do things in the game, feels satisfactory to them. To some people, they simply want acknowledgement and awareness of their ideas. Others want full on, complete manipulative control. And there's a balance, of course. But if you don't have as a core fundamental to your role-playing game the idea that the players are having an effect, our players are doing something, then you're going to be short-term as far as your game sessions, and the number of players you have will dwindle over time, because players want to know that they are the story. That's what they're doing it for. Now, this does mean also that you need to be consistent. Every week over week over week, session after session, your players want to know that the game experience they're going to have is going to be it doesn't have to be the same, but it has to be similar enough that it feels comfortable, normal, natural. They can put their feet down. They can push against the universe, and the universe is going to respond. The ability to maintain a session week over week is admirable, but if it's not consistent, if it's not the same intensity of fun or entertainment each time, it itself will suffer. The main thing with that is to realize that the use of random number generation, die rolling, needs to be done with discretion and with reason. If you are being a completely capricious game master and everything is being determined by success failure of dice rolls without any guidance or moderation as a storyteller, you leave the chance for the players to feel like there's not really a use for you being there. If the story is such that everything's let the chips fall where they may and let's roll the dice every time, you're leaving out a critical portion of it, which is your agency as storyteller. That doesn't mean you have to give away the farm, so to speak. That doesn't mean you have to give away to the players your discretion. What it does mean is that you need to determine when dice rolls are necessary and when they are not. One of the surprise rules of being a storyteller is that dice rolls are never really necessary. If you are doing your job as a narrator and storyteller, the player's requirement for using random number generation to decide things becomes it pales in comparison with the actual drama and dynamics of your storytelling. Which means when you're telling a story, lean into the tropes. Find the things that the players like to do and provide them those opportunities. If they like to defeat a monster, then certainly give them opportunities to defeat monsters. If they like to search the rooms, then there's plenty of rooms for them to search to their heart's content. If they are wanting to save damsels in distress, have a few of those in nearby palaces and such that need to be rescued. Lean into them. Go ahead and let the players kind of guide you in terms of what they want to have happen. And I don't mean in any literal, it must happen this way kind of situation, but simply the kinds of adventures they're looking for, you want to give them, because that's the game. The name of the game literally is the exploration that the players want to pursue. That means you have to kind of consider your role to be a facilitator. Now, as many of you know, my story, the Nycos story arc, is a 7-year story, and it takes a long time to get to all the different points. And there are many times when it feels like the players are far afield. Where's my camera going? So again, that the activities of the game are far afield from what the story would have the players do. But the reality is that you are there to let the players discover their way through your world to find the things that you want to show them. You don't have to do it the way you designed it. It can be discovered in more than one way. So realize that as a facilitator, as a guide to the story, what you're providing the players with is the ability to be a part of the story and design where we're going. It comes down to this. The obligation of a game master is for there to be fun for every player. You have to give each player the opportunity to stand out and shine. You need to take input from every source in the game, no matter how trivial, simplistic, or sophisticated they are. You need to be able to split your time in the game session between players fairly. In other words, you may have one person that's a genius and you'd love to cater to hit that person's every whim. You still have to take into consideration all of the other players at the table, because they are all there to have a good time, and so you can't just simply choose one over the other or show favoritism. You have to split the game in between each of the players to make sure they all get their chance to be a part of the story. Oops. In essence, we have to be improvisational, and that means to be a yes and kind of a person instead of a no but kind of a person, because players want to see their activities have an effect. They want to see how they can result. And so you have to learn how to roll with it, because the players don't always go where you want them to go, or don't want to do the things you want to do, but yet you can include them if you constantly remember to do the yes and a bit, because you can say, yes, you can do that and this happens. Yes, you've done this thing and this other thing occurs. So there are ways to cater to what you as a game master are trying to tell, and also be the resource that players want to fulfill their visions of the game too. This means that you have to allow ultimately the players to celebrate their successes. If you give them opportunities to actually see their plans come to fruition, see the result of their victories, you get a chance to enjoy with them the release of the energy that they put into the game, because many of them strive and drive and guide their player actions towards an objective, and by giving them opportunities to celebrate those during the game, you're giving the players the opportunity to be the heroes that they were always wanted to be, and you're not just spinning their wheels, so to speak. The point of this entire conversation really is that being a game master is more than just a a world building engine. You're more than just a judge and jury executioner of plans within the game. You're more than just a backdrop generator. You're actually a element of the game as well for the players to work off of. You are the force majeure, if you will, the agency of the gods, so to speak, for the outcomes that occur in game, and you have to therefore measure and mete out justice in a fair way and an equitable way, while also driving forward whatever story you have behind the scenes. But you have to do it in such a fashion that the players feel their agency as well. These 10 important tips will help to make your game sessions not only more dynamic, more exciting, more fulfilling, but in general just a lot more fun. And really that's the purpose that we're here for. So if these 10 points have been helpful to you, make sure you like and follow the channel. If you haven't been here before, thank you for watching this with us.